it's Tea Talk time where our topics are real, relevant, and relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here is Lady O.
Thank you, Tracy, and I will drink to that. Hi, I'm Lady O, and welcome to Tea Talk. We are just so excited that you're here today. I'm especially excited about the topic today because it's about women of power and impact. I am fresh off of the conference yesterday and I had to speak. And when you have to speak, you get to study and really get immersed in the presence of God and what He's talking about for the women today. And so we had already planned this topic, but after my time yesterday at the conference and merging with the fact that, hey, this is what we're talking about today, I am super excited. So why don't you make sure you share. I see Gail is on already. Hi, Gail. Sister Gail Taps is so faithful, and we're glad to see you this afternoon, rather. But go ahead and share this topic, especially with ladies. The information we're going to be sharing is going to make you think. It's going to make you wonder and have a new perspective of you as a woman. When I spoke on yesterday, I had a scripture that I want to share with you, but the topic was a new vision of you. So you need to get a new vision of you. So today we're going to talk about how God is seeing His daughters in times like these. What does that mean? Have you ever stopped to wonder what God is thinking about in this world today? So I'm going to read you the scripture and then we're going to go ahead and jump in it. My team has some wonderful comments today and information, and we want to share those with you before the time passes. You know how quickly time passes when you're having fun. Well, we're going to have some fun, but we're also going to learn some things. We're going to also be putting an ear to see what God is saying to the women. All right. So make sure you share with some women, share it with your teen daughters, share it with your teen, those that are in college. They need to know that they are something else. So when I look back over the scripture, the one that really got me, I had two of them. One of them was talking about us being God's masterpiece. And so I won't go over the sermon per se, but you need to know what God thinks of you. We are His masterpiece, and He's poured into us power, and He's gotten us to a point in the world today, women, that we can make a difference. Now, back in the day when my mother was coming up, women couldn't own property. They couldn't get a divorce. They couldn't do anything because the men were in control of the world and the women. The women were like property. It was first slaves, Black people, who were like property. But then the women got free. They could become educated. They could run for offices of higher offices, and they could get to college, and they could do things more than just have babies and clean the house and cook. And the Black women, we were the last ones to get our quote unquote freedom. So even when the white woman could be educated, the Black woman still couldn't be educated. And we know now that even though we have had a lot of freedoms and a lot of things changed, the Black woman is still at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to them giving us opportunities and powers and including us at the table. But God has intervened, and He's turning some things around so that even though they don't want us at the table, God is putting His daughters at the table. He has empowered them and given them opportunities that, man didn't give to them, but man can't take it away. So when I was reading this scripture, it says, Acts 2:17, it says, in the last days. And when we look at the fact of what's going on in this world, we cannot help but wonder, as we are asking Daddy God, what is this? Are these the last days? Because some of the stuff that's going on with all the way from the pandemic of COVID, which we're still struggling through, now monkeypox, people being racist in the open. I tell you, I came through the other day, Saturday, And I just was over the line a little bit in a parking lane trying to get into Chick-fil-A to get some coffee. And this man got out and he yelled at me. He was screaming, he was honking his horn, and he came to my window and, he was like he wanted to do something to me. And I was like, what is it? He said, "You're over the lane. I can't get by." And I'm like, really? I mean, does it take that much anger on a Saturday morning at a place like this? I didn't engage him. I didn't know I was over the lane. So as soon as he got back in the car, the cars pulled up. I was able to move up and he could pass if he could just have waited for 2 minutes, maybe. But that's indicative of what's really going on in the minds and hearts of a lot of people in this world. We are really at a point where people are like a firecracker, one little spark and they just immediately blow up. So in this world that we're in, we're very divided, and it's very divisive. Things are going on in your face. Used to be it was undercover. We knew people were racist. We knew people didn't like us. We knew people wanted to say something, but they held their peace. Now they're not holding their peace. They're waving their rebel flags. They're doing all kinds of things to intimidate us and to say, "I don't like you. I don't want you here." So we as people of faith have got to pray. And that's what I did yesterday. I just prayed real quickly. I asked God to just empower me to be able to respond back in a way that would not escalate. And I want to tell you that, ladies, we cannot escalate situations. We can't blow back at people. We can't talk back to people to even try to explain. You just need to kind of pray and try to get out of their way because they're looking for an excuse, right? So we have got to be very, very wise. So we are definitely, I believe, in the last days. I've never, ever seen it like this. And even taking us back with Roe versus Wade and some other things that are going on with the Voter Rights Act, all the things, Martin Luther King and all the activists fought for, they've taken us back 50 years. And that was, before I was born. It's like, are we progressing or are we not? So with all the things that are going on, and what I've been looking at is that the people that God is using to write, to tell the truth, there's lots of lies going on and things like that around there, but God is bringing people to tell the truth. And when I looked at these people, I realized that God is using a lot of women. And I said, well, Daddy God, is this what you're doing in these last days? That you're pouring out your spirit on male and female. So females, we have a responsibility. We've been endowed with power to be able to come to the table, to be able to speak up. So when you look at that scripture, Acts 2:17, it talks about the latter days. It said in the latter days, God himself said, it's the latter days. For stuff like this, I'm going to pour out my spirit. And I'm going to pour it out where it's not going to be just on men. We need the women too. So he's going to pour it out on men and women so that they can do the good things, so they can tell the truth, they can expose evil, they can bring light to darkness. So I think that's what God is doing. Let's talk about a few things, and you tell me, what do you think God is doing in these last days? So ladies, why don't you all come on and tell me, what do you think? Do you think it's the last days, or what do you think about that?
It seems to line up with when we read Matthew the 24th chapter. The key is that man's heart has waxed cold, and we see it on the streets every day.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. I just want to add, the Bible talks about this generation becoming weaker and wiser. And we look at our generation of children and, of course, the adults as well. And we're super smart. And we don't give God credit anymore. It's all us, and we're worshiping these energies and different things, and we're completely kicking God out. And it's a sign of the times. It's saying that we'll be weaker and wiser.
Yeah,
we have all the technology, all the Google, and all the sense, but we have totally lost it as far as our walk with God.
Yeah, my mom used to say, educated fools. You got all the education, you're so smart, but you're a fool. you know, in the eyes of God and the things that you do and say, and with the fact that you cannot see your vision. We had talked about this earlier with my glasses. You've been looking through the world in such a dim view for so long, it looks okay to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could just clear up your vision, you can see that what's going on in the world is not of God.
Mm-hmm.
And God is not happy with it. All right, Sister Shelley, you want to make a comment on that?
Yes, I would. I notice the way that God is speaking through nature and through natural disasters.
Yes.
And it just seems like my daughter told me last week or a couple weeks ago, it was 105 in Oakland, California.
Lord Jesus.
When does that happen?
Oh my goodness, never.
Yes,
Right.
never. So I just noticed the way he's moving through natural events and through nature,
Yes.
with natural disasters and
Mhm.
COVID. I think is an example too,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
when have we been shut down and couldn't go anywhere for almost 2 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Never, never.
It's,
And then right behind it, monkeypox has come.
yeah.
And then, God knows what else may be on the horizon, but I just noticed the way God is speaking through nature and through
Yes.
natural
Right.
disasters.
Right. Well, one of the things we can definitely be for sure, he is speaking.
Yes.
And he's speaking to his
Mhm.
people and saying, of course, one of those my favorite scriptures. If my people who are called by my name, if you would humble yourself and pray and seek my face, and hear from me, then I will hear from you, and I will heal your land. That if thing is always God me. It's a frustrating kind of a word. If you know how we tell your children, if only you would just obey, if only you would get your
Mhm.
lesson, if only you would, do what you're supposed to do. If you not talk back, God is saying if, and he's
If.
talking to his people. And that's
Yeah.
kind of a disappointing thing. Seems like we've always been a disobedient people, but he always, this is what I love about him, and I learned this as a little girl. If he can only find a few, he would save the world. So
A
we got,
remnant. Yeah.
if I can just get a remnant,
Right.
so we have got to be the remnant, and we cannot be weary in doing good. And we just got to keep doing good and keep pleasing the Father and going to the Father to intervene, intercede for this world, because and do what we can.
Yes.
Not just pray about it, but God has empowered us with his Holy Spirit to be able to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
He has provided opportunities for us to now be at the table. And instead of being afraid, we have some women who are speaking up. And I want to talk about some of those women today, because God has put them, it's just like Esther. He has put them in the palace for such a time as this. And I believe that. So when we look at people, we can start with our vice president, Kamala Harris. I mean, God has put her in this position for such a time as this. And so we thank God that we did have a Black president, but now we have a Black female vice president. That's something that God has done. We could not do that. We may think we went to the polls and we voted Biden in, but God had that in the plans all along. So I'm anxious to see how God is going to use her, because I know he's got her there for a unique purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we don't see her all the time out front, I know that behind the scenes,
Yes.
by knowing her and hearing her, she is doing some great works.
Yes.
But there's a lady who was in front of the scenes here recently, and with all of the trials and things that are going on, that I want to bring, because we got to put aside color. We need Black women, white women, Hispanic, Asian women, all kinds of women God is wanting to use. And so Liz Cheney, I want to applaud her, because she has really been through it the last couple of years, and that her party that she loves and has been faithful to and worked for so many years, her father was a part, all of that legacy and life that they have given to their party, because she chose to tell the truth, and because she chose to not go with a person that she felt like was, evil or doing illegal things, because she stood up for right,
Yeah.
what she felt was right. They put her out of the party. She just lost her position here lately because they voted her out. And so, but God, this is why you got to do things. And Bishop said something about that today. You got to do it when it's right, okay? Because she was going to lose that position. But while she still had the position, she stood up for right.
Yeah.
And she is now on that group of people that are investigating and bringing our former president to trial to see what the truth is. She is leading that. A woman. What do y'all think about that?
I'm proud of her for taking a stand and standing up for what's right. And I think that of course I feel that she's doing the right thing. So I'm proud of her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Risk takers. That's what I was thinking. Women risk takers. And we got quite a few risk takers right now.
Yeah. I have a thing that Bishop bought me. We were traveling one year and I saw it. I said, I want that. And he said, oh my goodness. And it says, well-behaved women never make history. Well-behaved women never make history. And I have it in there on my bed. And it's not that I want to be a rebellious woman or anything like that. I am God's powerful woman called to do the right thing for my family, for my church, my marriage, whatever. So I am not going to be well-behaved. Like back in the day, the women had to be submissive and silent and quote unquote well-behaved.
I just want to say about Liz Cheney, number one, I'm proud of her. She's exposed her party.
Yes.
And they needed to be exposed. It almost puts me back in the mind of the Dixiecrats. That's back when the Republican Party pulled away from, because the Dixiecrats were the racist, just obviously racist party. So with the former president coming on, he supported a lot of the agenda of that former party.
Yes.
And she stood up and said, no, that's not what we're about. We're conservative, but we're not about, what he's exposing. And I'm proud that she's able to stand up. She was able to stand up and say, these are our true values, not that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And another lady up there, this is just how I'm just looking at how God is putting this puzzle together. I love puzzles. And these women are a piece of that puzzle that I believe that God is putting together his army to bring light to this dark situation and to correct the world. And I believe that even though a lot of evil is going on, a lot of things look like, it's Teflon, it just rolls off their back or whatever. You can never stick them with anything but God. And I believe he's going to use the women to do that. But I really want to bring up another name too that came up and it shocked all of us. And that's Cassidy Hutchinson. Now, Cassidy, that young, wasn't she like a young intern, and she's new on the block, and she's put at the table with the big boys, the good old boys. And I guess they felt like they would whip her into submission and just the ability that she was just happy to be at the table, that she would be silent. But she saw what was going on. And at the time when the trial came and they subpoenaed her, or she came in and did the whistleblower, I forgot exactly how she got in there to testify, but she told the truth. And this is a person that it was not hearsay. She was there in the office as it was happening on January 6th. And she heard everything. She saw everything. She was privy to everything. And she told it.
She told it.
And the reason why I just applaud her, because I know it had to be a God thing, because most women will be fearful for their life.
Right.
Because, when you tell stuff like that and you're part of the good old boys, and I think that's what's probably a part of the reason why a lot of them are keeping quiet. They've been threatened with their lives. Their families have been threatened. Their careers have been threatened. And the truth is they are afraid. But she wasn't afraid. She's that new generation that I believe that God is raising up these young people. They're not fearful, and they're not going to go along just to get along like we did. A lot of them will call them our rebellious teenagers and young adults that we raise. They're different from what we are. So what do y'all think about Cassidy?
Yeah, that's definitely a risk taker, you know, because her life was probably threatened as well. But she was able to expose just how involved he was in this Trump. I hate even calling his name, but
Right.
just how involved he was in the resurrection.
And you know, without people like that, the cycle continues.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I applaud her. I applaud her for me just being so courageous and putting it out.
Right.
You know, sometimes you feel like, look, if I lose in the end, I'm gonna put it on the table. It's just that's just where I am right now. And obviously that's where she is. That's where she was. Is that whatever happens, this needs to be out.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like it's just like what I said about Esther. What did she say? If I perish, I perish. But I'm going to see the king, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know, one thing I thought about is by her speaking up too is integrity.
Oh yes.
She had integrity.
She had integrity.
And,
so I think those are characteristics that we need to kind of glean from each one of these women.
Right.
And integrity and bravery. Is that what such word is? Bravery?
Yeah, bravery, courage, and integrity.
Courage. Yeah, she had courage. So I'm going to write this down. We had courage, integrity,
and courageous, and even being a courageous person, because when you are out there, you're thinking about all of the things that could happen. This could go south. I could be alone. Nobody will support me. But when you're courageous, you say, you know what? I'm going to take that chance anyway. So I applaud her for being courageous, because those things can keep you from not exposing.
Right.
Exactly. I know a lot of people, especially all the men that are not standing up. The reason why they're not is because they're fearful. A lot of them know the truth. They know the truth. They know what's going on, but they won't say anything because they want to keep their career, their positions. And that's another thing too. A lot of times we get in particular positions and stuff is evil and corrupt. And instead of you speaking up, you say nothing. And silence is complicity. You're complicit. You're part of what that statement is. If you don't speak against it, you're saying it's okay, which means you're for it.
Right. I remember somewhere it was saying that she was really excited and brought to tears when she got the job. You know, just excited. You know, but for her to be courageous and and show the integrity that she showed, that speaks volumes of her character.
And the other thing too, when you said she was brought to tears when she got the position, and I'm sure she really just wanted to help and work for her country and love her country. And a lot of times we as women are put in a position where people have something on us, like we want to sleep our way to the top. Right. We want to have a little, something else going on. And therefore, when something needs to be told, you're fearful of what they have on you. So if you tell, I got these pictures of you and me. You remember we were in the hotel or whatever? So I could say too that she's got to be a woman of integrity, because if they had anything on her, they would have used it. The only thing that they could do to her is threaten her family and her friends. And I hope and pray, and I said that when she was doing that they would give her some kind of immunity and a new identity somewhere. Protection, what they call it, protective something. Witness protection program. Yeah, because she's gonna need it. She's gonna need it, because some of this stuff that they're doing is like the what you call those people?
Mafia.
The mafia. It reminds me so much of a mafia thing, where everybody, one person's got control and nobody will say anything until they know that it's the truth. So God is using women. That's another piece of the puzzle. So when I look at other women that I have to give accolades to is Nancy Pelosi. She's a bad woman.
Nancy, something else.
And the men can't stand her. The men can't stand Nancy. But she is not afraid of any. I think she got about 8 kids, 6 or 8 kids.
A bunch.
She got a bunch of kids. So she said, I'm not afraid of y'all. I birthed 6 or 8 kids. Hey, come on with it. So, but I applaud her, and I really, and just so on, I was hoping I'd be able to have my picture because I got the chance to meet her once and we took a picture together. But she is so intelligent. She is so strategic, and you just cannot catch her off guard. She is strong. So those are some of the characteristics. She's educated, she's informed. And the other thing that I really just like about her, she still has a family. In the midst of building this career, she still took time to have her babies, to raise her children, to be with her husband. You got that many kids, you had to be with them sometime or another, right? But she's a woman that can do it all. And then when I see her, she's still walking in her heels down those hallways. So what do y'all think about Nancy Pelosi?
Love her, love her, love her. And Nancy Pelosi has to be in her late 70s. 80s.
She's got to be. She may even be in her 80s. Somebody Google that.
Yeah, she has not missed a beat.
Let me see how she is.
Yeah, Google see how she is.
I will applaud her and how she always challenged our former president. She did not. A lot of people were intimidated and thought they fell back with him. She did not. She was not going to allow him to come in and destroy, she said, our country.
Right.
Our country. So
she was not intimidated. My favorite moment with her is this.
Yeah. or this. Remember this?
She took that speech or whatever, she tore it up right there.
Yes.
And because she knew it was about whatever, she was not afraid.
Wow, 82 years old. Yes.
I thought she was 82 years old. And she dresses so wonderful. She always very elegantly dressed. You can never catch her on a bad hair day or dress day. She is always like, she just plans. I don't know who plans a wardrobe, but she used to always have the little mask to match it and the things around her neck. She's a classy lady, and that is full of power. And she's a kind of classy lady that you don't mess with. Because even though she's a lady, I look at her like, Black women would do. Let me just take my earring off. Hold on a minute. Let me take my earring off. Let me just not be a classy lady for a minute because I can't get with you, okay? And she doesn't brawl in the physical, but I mean, when she gets through talking to you and putting things together, she handles you. She does not allow men to handle her. So I really admire that about her, that she's not afraid of any of them. Here recently, they were telling her, you can't go to Korea. We don't want you to go to Korea. Why? They even tried to threaten her and whatever. And what did she do?
She went.
She went. Going. She said, it's never been a problem when the boys went. She said, and we didn't bring up all this stuff when the boys went. Now that I'm trying to go, then all of a sudden we got all these fears and concerns. She said, I'm going. And she went on and did what she needed to do. And she's back on her rightful throne, Miss Nancy. But, another point too, I want to make too about Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. She and Nancy kind of have that same kind of flow. It's just that they have different positions. But I remember when Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, won the election, he said something to the effect of, told her to go back to California or whatever, because she did not get the nomination or she lost or whatever. And she said, I don't know if y'all remember, she said, I'll see you in November. And in November is when Biden won, and she became the vice president. And so what she said back when Trump won, she said, "What? I'll see you in November." And so I thought they've got this mouth, that's real sharp, this tongue that's sharp, and it's timely. I mean, they don't say stupid stuff. They don't say gutter stuff, but they say stuff that's articulately gutter. Is there such a word? Oh, they know how to cut you in a very, very lady like way, but you still cook. You still cut. But these are some ladies. So all of these are ladies that are empowered to do some things, I believe, that are handling things in the last days, like Esther was doing for her people. And I tell you another one too that caught my eye was the lady out of New York, the Attorney General, Lakeisha, is it Jones? Lakeisha. Oh, I wrote it James. Lakeisha James. That's it.
James.
Lakeisha James. Now she's another one because you know that Giuliani was out of New York too. There she is, and so he was pardoned by Trump on the federal level, but the law says they can still prosecute you on the state level. And since she's an attorney general for New York, then she is prosecuting him, and that's why he came in to testify the other day. He didn't want to come in, but guess what? He came in for that black lady that's the attorney general, okay? Because she's been put in a place to handle him, and she ain't playing with him, okay? So this is why it's so important too to vote, ladies, because she is attorney general. Then she has some powers to be able to do some things that if the wrong person was in that place, they wouldn't be able to do. And that's why President Trump at that time was really trying to fill all these federal judge positions and the Supreme Court nominations. He was trying to put them in there. And because he was able to, that's why we got turned back to Roe v. Wade. But God said, I got another piece of the puzzle that I'm going to allow Biden to put in there. So we've got a new Supreme Court justice, and she is an African-American woman. Another woman, the piece of the puzzle. What do y'all think about our new Supreme Court justice? What do y'all think about that? Fact that she is there in the highest power.
Can't hear you, Shelley.
Shelley's on mute. Shelley.
No, you're on mute. There you go.
Still can't hear you.
For some reason, we can't hear you. Make sure you're not on mute and try again. And then we have to make sure that Tisha has her in the back. Okay, somebody else talk to her. She gets it straight, and you just jump in, Shelley, with your comment when you get a chance.
I will just add, it was such a historic and an emotional moment to see the first African American woman, and I kept saying, "This is our time.
Mm-hmm.
It's past due."
Yes.
And I thought about even going through the interviewing phase of it and how they tried to humiliate her, but she didn't break.
Ooh, that's the next one I'm gonna.
I'm so proud of Cory Booker, and it goes back to our men. Mm-hmm. Our men protecting and looking out for her. And any time, I thought she was going to, and I said, Lord, please don't let her break. But he lifted her back up. And that was such an emotional moment that he let her know. That's a side note. What they're doing to you, what they're saying to you is a side note. This moment is bigger than that.
Right.
So it was a blessing to finally see somebody that looks like me.
Right.
Yeah.
To be
somebody's got names like us.
Yeah. That understands my struggle. Ketanji Brown Jackson sound like she's from an African tribe somewhere.
Tunji.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Anybody else want to comment on that?
No, I agree with Tracy. You know that it was awesome to see her not break under the pressure, but God.
But God, but God.
I really believe God kept her.
God kept her when she, yeah, she wanted to let loose and tell them a piece of her mind. And I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to push her and say little stuff that they felt like it would make a Black sister go off. And so, yeah, they want you want to jump off and try and talk back and say, what you know you can say. But she was very disciplined.
Yes.
And her strength was discipline. And I think even though a couple of times she welled up with tears in her eyes, God wouldn't let that tear drop. I was praying, don't let it drop, God. Don't let that tear drop. Wipe it, God. Wipe that tear.
Yes, yes.
I was praying for her, and I felt so, I watched all of her as much as I could. I think I watched all of it, but I was so humiliated for her of how they did her. And this day and time, we're asking questions like this. We're doing these things to people, but what's for you is for you. And God had it planned that she would be a part of this puzzle of women, powerful, strong, courageous women. He had a position for her, and the time was right. I thank God for Biden, because the Black vote put him over in there, and he said that himself. But he stuck to his promise. He made that first Black president, and he said he was going to appoint a Supreme Court justice, and he did that. So I know God was in that plan. But I think I like it that she was Black. You know what I mean? She was strong. She was woman. I wish I had been able to see that movie. I was planning to go see it last night, but I was so tired. The new movie about women. What is the name of it called?
Oh, with Viola.
Viola.
King.
Woman King or something.
Woman King.
Woman
right?
King. Woman King. I think it is.
Woman King. Yeah. Okay, we have got to go see that, ladies, so we can talk about that. I wish I could have, but it just came out, I think, yesterday, and I was so tired. But I did see the trailer, and that Viola Davis, oh my God. Have y'all seen the interview that Oprah did with her?
Yes.
You gotta see it. If you haven't seen it, I'm gonna see it again. I've seen it, but I want to see it again. That thing was so powerful when she talks about her history, and the thing that it made me cry too, because she talked about how she had to sleep in the bed with all her sisters, and they would what we call pee the bed. They would have urinate in the bed at night, and because she didn't have water and soap and things like that, she said it was freezing wherever she lived. She said it was just too freezing to try to warm the water, whatever, and get to go to school. She said so she went to school with her hair all nappy and matted, and then she smelled like pee, and the kids didn't want to be around her, and that woman has won so many Academy Awards and things like that, and God has just elevated her to a level. She uses her platform to promote issues such as this, and this one is one about women. I just believe, like I said, when I first started off, I think that God is saying this is the season when I'm going to use my women. And I'm still going to use my men, but this is the season where I'm really going to put them up there on a platform where they can be used. And even with me, with this Tea Talk, I got to think about it. So when your Tea Talk is something up on that platform to promote what God is doing in these seasons. So what do y'all think when you stand back and you look at all the things that are going on with women and this movie that's come out, and there's so many other women too. We have some more we're going to talk about too. But let's go ahead and talk about them first. We'll do that in summary. Sister Shelley, did you have somebody you wanted to talk about?
She's still trying to get back in. There she
Sam,
is.
are you there?
I'm back. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
Okay. The first person is a political figure as well, Stacey Abrams.
Oh, yes.
And y'all know she's running for governor of Georgia
Uh-huh.
again. She ran in 2018 and she lost by a very slim margin. And
Questionable.
yes, very slim margin. What I really love about Stacey Abrams is that she didn't give up. She is running again, and she created this coalition of women and um, a large group of people, and they went after voters that were disenfranchised, like young people and African American voters. And I believe they registered over 69,000 people for the 2021 election, which got us the first Black U.S. senator from Georgia, Ralph Warnock.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So now she's running again for Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So I love her. I love her spirit. She's graduated from Yale University. She's very, she just commands attention.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I love her. I love her personality and what she's been able to do in Georgia.
Well, you're absolutely right. I like the word you said. She commands your attention. I went to see her a couple of years ago in person, and when you walk in the room, you're just all this buzzing. When she took the stage, the room was like it did like this. She commanded that attention, and she drew them in. And what she had to say was powerful. Yeah, that every woman in there was ready to go out and fight. And I think that's when I first kind of started my fight after looking at her. And I'm going to say the name of the organization she was here with, because I didn't know anything about it. It's for women, and it's a political group for women. And I'll think of it in a minute. I didn't write it down, but you're right. She commands the room wherever she goes. Like we were talking about this morning in church, we change the atmosphere. When she steps in, the atmosphere changes.
Yes. So I hope she'll be able to pull off this election this year.
Yes.
For governor.
Oh my
that
God.
would be amazing. That would be wow. That would be for Georgia to have an African American female governor. Oh wow.
Yes.
And they need that. I pray that the people will not get lazy, the people will get fired up, because when she lost, it was by such a small margin. And she didn't do like what Trump did and ask for recounts and all that stuff and, refused to give up. She conceded and just said, okay, I'll do better next time.
She went to work. That's what she did. That's what we do. She went to work.
That's what that's the way you want to play this game? Okay, let me play your game and let me show you I can win. And so she's doing that. But what really is unfair too about the world, when I say the world, I mean people that run the world and are doing these kind of things. When you learn how to play the game, they change the rules.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
The rules were ABC, and then you say, okay, I'll do ABC. You learn ABC, and then they got ZQW.
Right.
Where did that come from?
Right.
It was created from you for you to not be successful with the ABC. So we're not playing that no more. We're gonna play new.
Right.
So it's just so unfair. But she knows enough about. She's mastering their game. And I pray that she can master the game so much that she can win and show them that I can win doing things right.
Right. Yes.
Legally, ethically. I don't have to cheat. And I don't have to rig things. I don't have to make calls and things like that. So she is definitely a part of the puzzle of women. Anybody else have another person that could be a part of this puzzle?
The other person that I studied or read about was Andrea Alexander. And Andrea is a young physician. She's an OBGYN. And what's special about Andrea is that she went to school with my daughter. She and Nia were both at DeBakey High School.
Okay.
Yes, and they
People
both
don't know
want.
your daughter's a doctor. Tell them
Yes,
that
my
too.
daughter is a pediatrician.
Is a pediatrician. Come on
Yes,
now.
yes,
And look here, and I've
Okay.
known her since she was a little girl.
yeah. So I
Go ahead.
have to highlight her on another show.
That's right. We'll do that. But I wanted you to know you highlight this doctor, but your daughter's a
Right.
doctor too. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
my daughter is a doctor too, and she is focusing on maternal health. She's an
Okay.
OBGYN, and she is championing the effort to help African American women not die in childbirth
Mm,
and to have just healthy practices. And so
yeah.
health is near and dear to my heart. And this past year, she spoke at a Black Maternal Health Convention in Washington, D.C. And
Mhm.
I follow her on Instagram, and I love her platform. She has
Mm,
an amazing platform. She has a lot of followers, and she gives. I like the way she's making medicine relatable to people.
yeah. Yeah.
So she gives people quick tips, things they can do when they're expecting, things they shouldn't do. So she's reaching a lot of people because
Yeah.
of the way she's relating to them.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to say this real quickly about her because we're going to hear about some of the others, but she fits right in because Roe v. Wade is talking about the health, of women, and especially
Yes.
African American women who are dying from childbirth, dying from not being able to have the what do you call it, the different procedures that they need that are health related to women's um, OB gynecology kind of situations that we have to go through, the endometriosis
Yes.
and all the different things that are killing
Right.
Black women at a higher rate than anybody
Mhm.
else. So she is definitely a part of the tapestry. All right, Sister Tracy, you
Yes.
have
Yes.
one?
Yes, I do. I have a local person, the Sheila Jackson Lee.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Um, I
Yes,
love
ma'am.
me some Sheila Jackson Lee. If there is
Yes.
a
Me
need,
too.
she is in the middle of it. If we need
Yes,
something,
Yes.
y'all, if the news is on right now and something's going on in Houston and somebody's got something going on, Sheila Jackson Lee is there representing.
Gonna
yep,
be there.
Um,
she will
she's
show
in the
up.
thick of it, the work. She's committed to the work. She's committed to helping people. She
Yeah,
wants
Yeah.
she wants equality for people and will
yeah.
fight tirelessly for it. I was reading
Yes.
her background, and I didn't realize she was Queens, New York, and so it helped
Hmm.
me to understand how she has that edge about her. Her parents were actually from Jamaica, so
Yep.
she's from the
I
island. She's an
didn't know that.
island.
Mhm.
Highly intelligent. Went to Yale University. She's also my soror.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
just I had a chance to meet her at the conference, and y'all heard her speak. She
Yeah.
is just a
Powerful.
phenomenal represent, and even us getting the Juneteenth federal holiday, she was instrumental in
Mhm.
pushing that legislation. And through 2017, I read in Colin Kaepernick. She was instrumental in really pushing to make sure that we preserve our First Amendment rights. She was the
Mhm.
first to kneel in the Capitol in his honor. So
Mhm.
I'm
Mm.
just super proud
Yes.
that she represents Houston and she represents us well.
Yes, she
Yes, she
does.
Yes.
does.
I love
Yes.
me some Sheila Jackson
Me
Lee. I mean,
too.
we've been friends for years, but she's never changed. She's always been about the business that God called her to do, and she is really pushing reprobation. That we never got our 50 acres in the mule and all that kind of stuff, and she's really pushing voter education and voter rights. So she showed us all the different bills that she's worked on to present to put on the table for the president, really for the Senate has to go ahead. You know how the process has to go through to get to the president to sign it. And so she still stays there, walks those halls with pride, representing Houston, representing women. And she is not afraid of the men up there either. So she's another
Yes.
very, very proud.
Right, she is.
Oh,
She
yes. Very
Lady
good.
O, I remember at the conference when you had her to come speak,
Uh-huh.
and yes, and you showered her with all those gifts.
Yes.
That was a very nice presentation because
Yeah.
she works, like you said, so
Yeah.
tirelessly.
Yes. And
Yes.
and that's why I wanted her to come and just for her to see the women of Houston, especially First Metropolitan Church and the Women at the Feet of Jesus Conference, that we women honor her and we recognize, we see her, what she's doing. We see her hard work, and we just wanted to show her some love. And so I was honored to do that. Thank God for, giving me that idea, because sometimes, you work so hard and people don't see your work and they don't even say thank you.
Don't appreciate it.
They don't show appreciation. I think we should do more than just say thank you sometimes. We need to actually show something that, hey, here's something, here's a gift, here's something that you like. Not trying to buy you for anything. We don't want anything like that. We just want to show you that the people of Houston love you and we appreciate you. And you're right. And she's everywhere. I mean, she'll get off the plane like she got off the plane. And before she got there, she'd gone to a funeral. She'd gone somewhere else, and she came to us. And so we love her. And you're right. She's a powerful, powerful woman.
Yes.
All right. And so anybody else want to talk about another lady that they feels needs to be in this tapestry?
Lady O, looks like somebody said our very own Queen Mother Evelyn Ogletree. Queen Mother, yes.
Queen Mother.
She was always encouraging and educating us to do greater. Oh, that's about big walk. You're so sweet, Sister Gail. Thank you. But you know what? And she's absolutely right. Not because of me, but because all of the women, we all play a part. I can't do what Kamala Harris can do, and maybe somebody else can't do what I can do, but what can you do? Yesterday when I was talking with the ladies, I was telling them that you need to get a vision of who you are. Who did God call you to be?
Right.
And if it's nothing but, let me just sweep the floor where they do whatever, let me send a thank you note to someone. What can you do? I think we need to make sure we think about that and redefine who we are, who God called us to be, and the power that God has given you, the platform that God has given you. What are you doing with that?
Yes.
So I see, hello, Dr. Ruth. I see my friend on the line. Hello, Dr. Ruth. And she's another pioneer in the city over there in 3rd Ward and Prayer in the Hood. And she is always championing for people, the homeless and people that need assistance. A great pastor over there at the Beulah Land Church. So all of us ladies have a piece on that puzzle. We do not compare our piece to somebody else. If their piece is big, that's because God gave them that big piece.
Right.
And he put it maybe center, and maybe you want to be center, but maybe yours is in the corner. But it doesn't matter if it's on the corner or in the center, as long as you're in the picture. And you only get to be in the picture when you are doing something worthy of being in the picture.
In the picture. Okay? Yes.
So I want to just encourage you all and say, all of you ladies, you all are super women. You are so brave. You are so strategic and strong. God made us Black women like that. And I don't give any disrespect to white women or Asian women, whatever, but I know about Black women, what we've been through. And I know that it's amazing that we're still standing.
Yeah, that's right.
With all the things that have come against us, and we're still standing and being able to be,
and standing strong.
Standing strong. And we're still making impact and raising our kids and still doing what we're doing in the midst of everything that's come against us. We're still standing strong. And we're standing strong because of God, because he is the one that's protected us. He is the one that's providing for us, and he's the one that's put us in places. Dr. Allison says, pinkies are important. Small keys open big doors. Yes, they do. Just because it's a little bit of key, it might be the key to a safe that has $1 million in it.
Yes.
Size of whatever my gift is. You don't know. My little gift might be the one that open up your life or whatever it is you need.
That's true.
Anybody else have anything to say before we get ready to go?
We just go ahead, Deborah.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing that I thought about through the whole thing: the first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
Ooh, bring that scripture on. Come
You
on,
know,
you know, I love that word.
you know, because we as women have been put on the back burner, but God says no more.
Mm-hmm.
More, no
You know?
more.
No more.
Yes. And one lady that I wanted to bring in that I didn't know anything about her, but her name is Cassandra Welchland. And she was like a organizer of this group in Mississippi, and it was called the Black Women's Roundtable.
Ooh.
And they were trying, she had grown up where she had to be in the closet as her mother went to work. She took her to work and she had to be in the closet and play in the closet.
Wow.
And so that, she didn't want another woman to have to go through that. And so she was working, trying to pass legislation, and she knew that they wouldn't do it. So they organized themselves and they introduced their own legislation for equal pay, equal work, increased wages, Medicaid expansion, and paid leave, sick leave, pregnancy accommodation. And as a result of this effort in Jackson, Mississippi, was designated a pay equity city in 2019.
Wow.
Ooh, now that's powerful. You know, with all the
That's
stuff that
great.
Mississippi is going through.
Right.
Yes.
And so she was the one behind that, huh?
Yeah, she was a co-organizer. She had someone was working with her. Can't remember her name right now.
But what is her name again?
Her name is Cassandra Welchland.
Welch. Let's say her Cassandra Welch. All right. Powerful
Welchland.
women.
Yeah.
And see, that's what we have to do. We may not be able to do stuff in Washington, D.C., but you may not be able to do anything in Houston city, but what are you doing in your community? And it starts with your home. It starts with your community. You can be a trailblazer. Start something new. You see the problems. When I read through the scriptures, says we are in the last days. And the Lord says in the last days, he's going to pour out his power, his spirit on men and women. So women, we cannot have any excuses anymore. We cannot think we're not enough, or we're going to let the men do it. We have got to stand up and listen to God and ask him, what is it that you would have me to do? And then say, Lord, I'm your vessel. If you can use anybody, use me, Lord. I'm willing to do whatever I can to make this a better place. So listen, our time is up, and this is Lady O. I am out for today for tea. So listen, I'll see you again next week for 3 for tea with Lady O. Have a great day.